Hi everybody, my name is Luke Smith. I am formerly president of Tesla Enercom Australia Queensland branch. Aaron has taken over officially as of 3 or 4 weeks ago. I am a fairly keen Tesla enthusiast. I've had my Model 3 for 3 years. I've driven all over the East Coast. And yeah, done 86,000 Ks, well out of warranty now. So a few things to start with. We'll do some introductions for the rest of the team as well that are presenting today. But firstly, a little bit of janitorial stuff. So exits, head towards the trees. I think actually technically under that shed is the emergency evacuation area. There's an awning over the road. Toilets are in the foyer, so if you go around the corner, right in the foyer, they're just in here.
And leave the small right down the end.
Right, down the hallway. That's wrong. Should have been updated, but we've got a few different presenters today. But you've got the TOCA team here. Katrina, we'll be talking about her joy of ownership mostly. Mark will be talking about doing road trips. So Mark is also known as Better Prime. So he'll be talking about some of the services he does there around tracking Tesla's pre-delivery and all that sort of stuff, and this sort of how the future is looking, which is pretty cool. And we of course Sam. We've got Sam talking about charging. We have and we've got Scott talking about his services around fitting tow bars, accessories, and things like that. And Paula is helping out. She's talking about the car itself and doing a bit of a tour of the car and the interior and how the touchscreen works. And then we'll have a bit of a resources session at the end, talking about the some things you can do to you find on the internet to help yourself around manual and getting service, getting help, Facebook groups, stuff like that. And then we'll be sorry. Yeah, so I guess to give you a bit of introduction to the Tesla Owner Club too. So we run events like this. We run sort of how-to helpful events. We also run social events. So we do sort of drive loops out, and we'll go to a winery for lunch or something like that, or we'll lots of sort of meetups and social activities. We do a adapter loan program, so cables and chargers. If you're, as more and more DC chargers are out and about, you'll need them less and less for most normal sort of trips. But if you want to go to long reach or and beyond long reach, then we have adapter cables, and those adapter cables will go into industrial power points that are available at a lot of truck stops and service stations and stuff like that as you get right out west. So certainly handy, certainly no need to buy adapter cables beyond the ones that Tesla sell when you can borrow them from the owner club for that special trip. We're generally involved in EV advocacy with the Australian Electric Vehicle Association and general sort of politics of EVs and things like that. We have an escalation of issues to Tesla service, so we have a relationship. We are an official, we can use their logo and all that sort of stuff, so we have an official relationship with Tesla. So if you've had trouble dealing with service issues or just generally dealing with Tesla, then you can certainly escalate through us. There is a process that makes sure that you've sort of checked all the boxes and done all the legit process first, and if you're still not satisfied, then you can come to us and work on that. I've personally used that, and it was very effective in getting the issue that I had fixed. We have had discounts on Tesla merch. My understanding that's come to an end, and there won't be discounts on Tesla merch anymore. It was the sort of thing where they, for 2 months or whatever, we had a voucher code that would work and sort of come on special occasionally. But that's finished now. And we have a business directory, so a lot of businesses like scooters are listed in our business directory, and to be listed in our business directory, they need to offer our members something real, like a real discount, something for free, something special, right? So there's lots of good services in there if you're interested in anything, window tinting, tow bars, accommodation. There's a whole bunch of accessories and things like that in there that you can look at. Any questions about that so far? I think we'll roll into.
Look, anyway, these lights can be adjusted or what?
Yeah. Should
There's a 28 for the item insurance?
Yeah, $50 a year, so quite good value. That's what we want.
Yeah, that's true.
Right, somewhere in the middle of that. The right balance. That being too movies you like. Sorry. Yeah. I'll turn mine off.
Can I just ask a question of the group first? Who's still waiting on a car? Who has a 3? And who has a Y? Yes, good mix, yeah.
Is this, yeah. Hello, I'm Katrina, and these are my beautiful little boys, Eli and Joshua. And the role I have today is to talk about all the non-techie stuff. There's a whole stack of techie stuff with the Teslas, and if you're into that, cool. And there are other people who will talk about that. That's not me. So I bought my car about 12 months ago, and I bought it to save the world, to have fun, and to save money. And the car's just ticking all of those boxes. And I guess the other, if you take nothing away from my little chat today, except for the fact that you can go anywhere pretty much in this car and it's easy, that's what you should take away. So this is us on the way to Tamworth last year for Christmas. And then we're going to drive through. So I'm a proud mum of these 2 boys. I've owned the car since November last year, so nearly 12 months. I was really lucky. I had a car on order, and then I found a car second-hand with 1,500 Ks on it. So I've driven 18,000, but not all of those Ks were mine. And in that time, I've been to Tamworth and Rockhampton and Warwick and Grafton and Coast Harbour, and with Luke we've been to Falls Creek and Adelaide. So, and all of those times just, fun. You stop and charge on the way when you're having lunch or sleeping or what have you, absolute no drama. You just need to be slightly planned, and I'm not a very planned person, so I can do it, anybody can do it. I'm a TOCA member, and pretty much the vineyards trips are the best. And I also work in the carbon abatement and renewable energy sector, so I have big bias around the fact that this is a low emissions vehicle. As I said, I bought it to save the world, but also to save money. I was really lucky. I kind of picked this up before the petrol prices went crazy. And I charge at home and at work. We have solar panels on the roof at home and at work. So I pretty much charge it for free most of the time when the sun's shining, so that's great. I also bought it because it's practical and safe and reliable. It happens to go fast, but that's not why I bought it. So I bought it because it's great value and my kids love it. You know, I never have problems getting the kids in the car in the mornings anymore. Sometimes I have trouble finding them because they're in the car already. So here's just a bit of a snapshot of what I've done in the last 12 months with the car. Glamping the Sunshine Coast. That weekend I did happen to find myself on almost zero charge after 4 charges in a row didn't work. And I ended up being a feature of Giles Parkinson's, one of his articles about just the challenges in some of the charging infrastructure at the moment. So I guess out of that I just learned always be charging. Macadamia Castle in New South Wales, where I stopped on the way back from Grafton last week. Maloney Botanical Gardens last weekend, where Luke and I went up with the kids, and the cars charged for free whilst we wandered around the beautiful botanical gardens. Motoring in Tenterfield, which has had the destination charger there for a long time now. Camping in Mount Barney, on the way to Tamworth in Tenfield. So sort of out and about all over the place. Excuse the fancy splash throughs, my 9-year-old helped me with some graphics. So as I said, how do I charge? I normally charge at home or at work, and I try to charge when the sun's shining. And so most of the time that gets me through. My car's normally close to 80%, 100% charge most of the time, because it's just charging when I'm not using the car, which most people don't use their car most of the time. Most people are either sleeping or at work or doing something and their car's sitting around doing nothing. When I go on road trips though, I do use the Tesla network. It's great and reliable, and there's always more than one charger there, so they're my favourite, but you pay for them, but that's fine because it's only occasionally when you're out and about and you need to drive them, and it's still cheaper than paying for them. PlugShare is your friend. It's great. There's a whole range of other ones you can use, obviously. And normal power points. I mean, literally there's electricity everywhere. So if you've got time, there's electricity everywhere. I thought this might be useful for sort of the new owners. I've spent $5,500 worth of extras on my car. I had the wall connector put in by Aaron's business. Aaron, the president of TOCA, he's fantastic. His business is called Regen EV, and he and his team are great. Probably the best thing I bought in the car was the all-weather mats. They're fantastic. You can get Tesla ones or you can get knockoffs. Either way, they're great. And you literally, pull them out and hose them off, and they just save the car. Probably the best investment you can make in the car. I had a tow kit put on. I didn't do that to tow a trailer, although Luke's got one on his, and you can see there's one out here. But I use that because I put a bike rack on the back of the car and I take bikes around. Personalised plates, because not that I'm really into personalised plates, but I just think they look beautiful on a beautiful car. A Type 2 charging cable, which I've never used, so it's there in case I go on a trip where I'm not going to be able to, use the conventional charging network. I don't know if I'll ever use it, but anyway, I've got one. If anyone ever wants to borrow one, I have one in my shed. And roof racks, which is still, actually, I know what I've done wrong. Oh no, roof racks, which aren't on the shopping list actually. They turned up last week. So I've spent, as I say, $5,500 on the car, and my car insurance premium went up $88. So that wasn't significant, that wasn't a lot. And it was a really curious process. I shopped around over a week. I got 3 or 4 quotes, and the quotes were all over the shop. And even the quote that I got ended up changing from one day to the next. So my experience and what I've heard speaking to other people is there is no one rule. Just shop around.
Can I ask you who you're insured with?
NRMA.
Because I just reinsured my car for about $1,100.
Right. Mine has gone up this year, but not a lot. And I would imagine that it's gone up relative. Had I had, my ICE car, it would have gone up as well. Things to be aware of. Sometimes the car makes funny noises, and the funny noises are particularly when it's not driving anywhere. So it's just sitting in the garage, and all of a sudden it'll turn itself off and on and whir and do things. And it's maintaining itself, and it's doing what it should do. And in spite of what my dad told me, that there's obviously something wrong with that, Katrina, and you should take it back, it's fine, it's meant to do that. The upgrades, yeah.
Can I ask you about that? Is that being recent after an update, or mine didn't seem to make too much noise initially, but it has after the last couple of updates?
Not particularly. I'd say probably more depending on when you charge it, depending on what the weather's like.
Yeah,
if it's hotter, yeah. Lots of factors, so broadly ignore it, it's fine. Yeah.
The upgrades are easy and really cool. You'll receive a message on your phone to say that, you know, there's a software update. You just let it, and you can't use your car for that period of time, so obviously don't press it 5 minutes before you need to leave the house or something. And what's really lovely about it is after it uploads, you get something on your car that just tells you what's changed. So it might be that, you know, you got extra seat warmers, or the windscreen wipers do something different, or, you know, whatever. And if you're into the chat rooms, you'll find that there'll be people that will be going, oh, I got my upgrade, where's mine coming? And there's all, you know, so there's a whole range of endless sources of chatter about the upgrades. If the screen goes blank, don't worry. That's happened to me twice, and literally you can just press the 2 buttons on the steering wheel while you're driving, and it'll reset it and keep going. And the main, you know, the key things of the car still work. You can still steer it, and the brakes work, and all of the important things work, but just the fancy screen might go blank. So don't freak out. It's just a software thing, but it's not a problem. Sometimes fast chargers can need a reset. I've been caught, never at a Tesla charger, but at some of the others where it just doesn't work. So it's just like a computer, just turn it on and off. The other thing, and I'm sure others will go into this as well, but the Plug Share app is just fantastic. And because you can go in there and you can sort of see if a charge is available, but if you can see that people have been using it recently, that's a really good sign, because it means that likely when you get there it'll be working. And so because I use it, I always do the same thing. I'll put comments in there to say that I've been there, if it's not working, that it's not working, you know, why it's not working, because it's just a really helpful thing when you're driving around. The seats are sweaty, they don't breathe, so if you wear shorts in summer, even though there's air conditioning, it's still a pain, I find, so I pack a towel, be my hint. And if I haven't already, ABC, always be charging. If you have an opportunity to charge your car when you're not, you know, when you can, just do it, because sometimes when you're on a trip, things can happen like what happened to me, where 4 charges in a row weren't working. And that would have all been prevented had the night I started that trip, I was staying at a friend's house, and I just quite simply could have plugged it in overnight. Wouldn't have been a drama, but I felt I didn't want to impose. And I also looked and went, oh, there's plenty of charges, it'll be fine. Well, it wasn't fine. So always be charging. My favourite features in the car, camp mode, if you have children or a dog, absolutely fantastic, because you can leave your children or a dog in the car safely in air-conditioned comfort. So that's fantastic, and they're locked in. The air conditioning before you drive is really good. So, you know, if you're leaving the car in the sun or in the cold, 10 minutes before you go back, just turn the air conditioner on, and then you get in the car, it's lovely. Navigation is great. You know, I use it to navigate everywhere. Autopilot is also great. When you first start driving the car, and you know you're letting it steer for you, and you're letting it brake and accelerate and all of those things for you, it takes a little bit of getting used to. But once you get used to it, particularly highway driving on a little street, you know, and lots of turns and suburban streets, can be a bit of a pain in the neck, I actually think. But on the open road, long drives, it's just great. It's just like, just takes the edge off. It means that you can look out the window a little bit more. You're not as tired when you get to the end of the road. You don't speed as often. So yeah, a whole range of great things about that. The games in the car are fantastic. YouTube and Spotify and karaoke is really fun. Rainbow Road's a bit of a gimmick, but it's also kind of fun. And the driver profiles are good. If you are in a situation, as I am with Luke, where we sometimes drive one another's cars, it's just really handy getting in and you just press U and all of a sudden the steering wheel's in the right spot and the chair and the seat's in the right spot and all of those things. Charging on tour, a few sort of things here. I was at Tullabudgera camping a couple of weeks ago, and I almost thought, and it wasn't a big drama because I didn't really need to charge, but there was a charging point just there, and I thought, if I could use it, that would be good. Saves me having to stop on the way home. And the plug really, really was hard to get into those sort of standard connectors that are at camping grounds and things. So I nearly didn't think I could use it, but after a little bit of perseverance and realised just a lot of physical strength, you just jam it in and it works. So that's like the standard plug at most caravan parks and things. So it's probably, and that's the standard charging plug that's in your car. So they do work. You just have to push really hard. This little photo over there is probably an example of what you can do. I was down in Coffs Harbour at a conference, and I just asked the lovely lady if I could, if she had somewhere I could charge, and she sort of did. She basically gave me an extension cord and that mat, and she gave me the room closest to a park. And we just strung a cord and I just charged it up overnight, and it worked. I subsequently found out apparently that's not electrical safety 101, and maybe I shouldn't have done that. So if you have to do that in a case of emergency, apparently what you do is just basically monitor it for like 10 minutes and make sure that there's not too much heat. Yeah, and if it doesn't get hot, then it's fine. And in my case, it didn't get hot and it was fine. So yeah, charging on tour, just charge, plan your rest stops and your lunch stops where there's a charger. Yeah.
Hey, just wanted to warn you guys, we were on Sunshine Coast, and not Tesla, it was another car, but one of the local community centres had given these people permission to charge their cars. They forgot to leave a sign on their car saying we've got the centre's permission to charge, and somebody came along and unplugged their charger and wrote a note saying, "Are you a thief?" on their car. Mm-hmm. So if we do that sort of in a community centre or something like that, we probably need to get a little card or something, permission from the centre, just to prevent that.
Yeah, I mean, they're idiots all over the place, right? But most people aren't idiots, so yeah. But
I usually check my app when it's charging in a situation like that. So if I saw that it had stopped, I'd probably go and investigate and hopefully be able to plead my case to whoever was writing the note.
Yeah. So in terms of charging on tour, look for hotels that have chargers, or if they don't have a charger, are friendly. Trust the Tesla chargers, they are your friend. Use PlugShare, have all the other charging apps installed. I hope one day when it's all harmonised and this industry is a little more mainstream, you don't need 27 apps on your phone for all the different charging stations out there, but for the moment you do. So just make sure when you're going somewhere that you've already got them. 27. I may just happen to have had to download 3 of them in one weekend. Practice ABC and be flexible. And I suppose the other thing I would mention is sometimes the chargers are in places that aren't so friendly. Like the one at Warwick is in a government car park, a council car park that's behind the main street. And I've stopped there with my kids once at 9 o'clock on a Thursday night. And luckily I'd sort of been there before, so I knew the territory, but it's dark, not lit awfully well. To get to food was walking 4 blocks down or Macca's. So there are still some of those that aren't so great, so just sort of think about that when you're travelling.
Just a piece of advice around that, because I think there's an issue around that people who are designing them haven't taken that into account as much. And I think in terms of your feedback up to Tesla, but also to the EV charging, there's a principle called CPTED, Crime Prevention Through Environmental Design. And so when you design buildings and toilet blocks and everything, they take into account access and safety. And the problem is the location of, when they're putting the chargers in, they're often thinking, a car park. in a back area is a great spot. That won't inconvenience people. So just, it's always worth saying that this is a gendered thing.
Yeah.
So a lot of women go into a charge spot, and I've had other people talk to me about it who've got EVs that saying, hey, this doesn't feel safe, and at night, and etc.
Yeah, and even like on tours with my kids, same thing, I'm trying to wrangle small kids and get through a dingy car park to get some food and things like that.
Yeah.
So certainly it's improving dramatically. Like simply the volume of EVs on the road, and Mark will get into this later, but the volume is just skyrocketing. So it's a bit arts and I describe it as being a bit arts and crafts at the moment.
Yeah,
But it won't be. In a year or so, there'll be twice the charges there are now, if not 4 or 5 times as many, and it'll be less of a problem. It's talking about charging companies. Tesla, I think, have got the right idea mostly. I think the only thing I'm disappointed about in Queensland particularly is that Tesla, there's a lot of compromises in installing a charging station, the amount of infrastructure required, the amount of electricity required to build a charging station. So they're a compromise of parking space, council or landholder approval, the price of that real estate, the availability of electricity, and ideally, and sort of finally, services like being closer to toilets and food and all that sort of stuff, right? So getting all of those stacked together to find an ideal spot in town is hard, and when you're not sure about the volumes of cars that you're going to be dealing with, you're not sure about the economics of it and whether you should be paying an extra $1,000 a week or a month or something to lease something next to a Macca's compared to one that's in a back street. And so, but it will, be clearly improving. Tesla in Queensland put a lot of them in shopping centres, which the supercharger in shopping centres, good in that the services are there generally, if the shopping centre's open at least. But it also means you can't actually go shopping because the supercharger's too quick. The car's full in 15 minutes and you've barely made it into the shops, or you're halfway through lunch or something, right, and the thing's full. So I think there should be an opportunity there for there to be a balance of superchargers and destination chargers where you could plug into AC and just leave it there as long as you like while you're doing shopping, watching a movie, whatever, or a supercharger if you need to get in and go. And those shopping centres don't tend to be right on the highway. Toombul was. Toombul's gone. Toombul was probably the only location where a shopping centre was really good because it was right on the sort of intersection of a bunch of big freeways. Whereas most of the ones down south are in, next to Macca's, in a truck stop and stuff like that, and they're much better locations. Right next to a cafe and a toilet block at a sports centre or something like that.
So with that, it totally recognise that, and that's fantastic. It's just to drop in the conversation.
Yeah.
The idea, and the reason is that sometimes it's one of those things where the decision, people's perception of safety is very different if you're a man or a woman, or lots of other things. And if you just use the term SEPTED, the planners know what it means. And they'll go, oh yes, we've considered that. And it just adds to the ticket list of the things that they're thinking about, because it's going to become more and more of an issue with more and more.
I assume you work in this area?
Related to that area,
yeah. You've got a card or something like that, so I can get you to send me some links or something. Send me an email or something. The other thing I do find with the third-party networks is I've just spent a lot of time talking to third-party networks, and disturbingly few of their employees own EVs, and so how would they know? They haven't used it. All they've done is do council planning and approvals and theoretically about what they think an EV owner likes. They don't. And they put them in some stupid places. They have user interfaces on machines that are unintuitive and frustrating. The locations aren't great. Lots of issues with how most of the third parties work. Tesla do a lot better job of it.
And I don't think, what you could do is have a list for them of things to think about from a user owner perspective. These are fabulous things, and it's like the plug shed gives you information about what users like. And so you could just put together a list when you're doing it and have it on a website so people can go and say, go look at this to consider it.
Yeah, absolutely. Getting a bit off topic, but thank you.
Thank you. Get out there and have fun.